Hey everybody, my name is Allie Craig and I am so excited to have Emerald Greenforest with me today. Hi Emerald.
Hi, Allie. So glad to be here.
And we are talking about the one thing that I think both of us always get asked about professionally, especially around an event, is how to really stand out. And everyone kind of wants to be a speaker nowadays. It's like the trendy thing to do. Yet a lot of people struggle with it. I know you speak a lot and I speak a lot on different stages and platforms around the world. And it's, sought after, but a lot of people struggle to be successful with it.
I would agree with you. And, not only are a lot of people now suddenly thinking about speaking, maybe getting into the speaking business, but a lot of speakers are also looking more towards leveraging themselves online virtually. And that's really where I spent most of my time speaking over the last decade or so. So, yeah, I would agree with you that, it's important to really know some of the things that cause you to maybe hold back from stepping out and shining and being successful as a speaker.
Well, and the one blessing of everything that's gone down with the beautiful pandemic is that a lot of more is even online, a lot more events, a lot more workshops and things that used to be solely in person, which I still do love the in-person. So I look forward to that getting back to normal, but they are going online. And so the opportunity to really step out and show your expertise status as a speaker is even more at your fingertips if you know what to really do right. And I love your new book, which is all about being heard, be heard by millions. Am I correct on that title?
Yes, be heard by millions and live your destiny. And it's a creative age leader's guide to speak, sell, serve, and succeed.
See, and that's exactly what everyone wants. But as you well know, what stops them is the fact that they refuse to step into their Success Rebel status, which is my new book, Success Rebel, How to Be Successful and Sought After Without Selling Your Soul. And that's one reason why when we were chatting, I was like, this is a perfect combination. People want to do something, they want to do the big thing, like get out there and speak, but you got to fix some of the inside before you can hit the stage and really sell it.
You have that right. And, one of the things that I've noticed for myself, as well as for all of the speakers that I've served and many of my colleagues as well, is there are three kind of main areas where people just get stuck. And so we can dive in and talk about those if you'd like.
Yes, let's jump in. You know me, I love action.
All right.
Let's get to work.
I outline them all in my book. And my book is actually based on the 7 steps of the Be Heard solution. So the Be Heard by Millions solution, it breaks down. And so the H in the Be Heard by Millions solution is have a clear message. So one of the challenges that most speakers face is lack of clarity. They're not clear in their message. They're not clear who they're here to serve. They're not clear about, the structure of how they need to deliver. And they don't necessarily know what their own speaker magic is. And I've actually created a little quiz to help people know what their own unique speaker magic is. And there's actually 5 different ways that people show up as speakers. So clarity, if you don't have, you're not going to do well as a speaker.
Well, and clarity in general, I mean, that's one of the things that stops everyone in their tracks when it comes to just having success on their own terms, because we have all of these social stories that are, invading us even before we actually hit this world. While we're in the womb, we're being spoken over and talked to, and it's those on some level well-meaning, sometimes not well-meaning social stories that actually creates that lack of clarity, that fuzziness that we have of why we can't find it. And then we have a whole social story around why to find your clarity. And it becomes this very, very vicious cycle. And that's one thing that we always talk about in Success Rebel, which is you have to connect with your soul fire, that one unique purpose of why you're here. And if everyone thinks you're crazy, it's almost like that's like the check mark that you're on the right step, because they don't understand it and they're not meant to. It's meant to connect with you in your own unique way. And so that's kind of, I always tell my clients, my branding clients, we know we have the right brand when everyone thinks you're nuts, but you're like so passionately on fire for it. Ding, 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 right brand. Because the stuff that looks like it's the best ROI, or, oh, this seems trendy now, or, oh, that seems logical now, worst stuff ever to build your life from, your brand from, and of course your speaking platform from.
Well, and it's all, you know, as what you're saying right there, Allie, it's all transitory when you are buying into those stories. Whereas to really become successful, you want to create something that's evergreen. You want to create something that is, you know, rooted, deeply rooted in your own soul fire and also in your own soul destiny, right? So Be Heard by Millions and Live Your Destiny talks all about making sure that we dismantle all of the social, cultural, and industrial age conditioning. And it's funny, I was just talking to somebody today about the industrial age conditioning. So deeply conditioned from birth, it's literally like we come in pure and then all of a sudden get wrapped in this cloud of confusion, right? We get wrapped up in this cloud of confusion. And so many people just go around in the cloud of confusion. A really great speaker who is very clear on their message, regardless of the topic, regardless of the industry that they're in, is able to actually slice through that cloud of confusion and tap the heart center of the person or people in the audience that they are most meant to connect with. And so the other piece of clarity that I just want to underscore is that you can be super clear and not connect with every single person in the audience because you're not meant to connect with every single person in the audience. There are specific people that are meant for you and you are meant to serve. And so that brings us to our second area where people have a challenge when they step onto the stage, whether it's the live stage or the virtual stage, and that is having absolute complete confidence in your expertise and being willing to put yourself out there as the being that you are. So in your case, right now, you're embodying the success rebel and you have confidence in that expertise. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But a lot of people, they do what a friend of mine, another colleague of ours, she calls it moving the coconut. So they like try and step into a certain expertise that is their manufacturing, or they
It's a logical one.
Correct. The one that they think is going to make them money, or that, you know, they have skill set around, but doesn't necessarily tie in with their soul destiny. And then when that doesn't work, they shift the coconut and they try another one. So I had a woman who went from, she was helping people get pregnant, and then she started doing something completely different that had like, was so far off from helping people get pregnant. It was like, how did that just happen? And then people, not only, if you don't have confidence in your expertise, then the outside world is not going to be able to make the connection with you because they don't have confidence if you keep moving the coconut.
Well, and a lot of people think fake it till I make it, which I absolutely can't stand as an overall expression, because we forget to realize that we are subconscious beings. We live on nonverbal communication. So if you're struggling with your own clarity or your own confidence in what you're about ready to sell, you can go out there and say every single right word. You can do that pitch Toastmasters perfect in their mind, or NSA perfect in their mind, but people aren't going to believe anything you have to say because your tone's off, because your body language off, because your energy's off, the way your heart energy is connecting is off. All of that's off. And so the idea of really having that influence, because everyone wants to be influential nowadays, which I'm like, that's just human nature, people, is to be influential, but okay, whatever, it's fuzzy, we'll go with it, is you have to have all of that in the right direction. And that's why when I build brands, the number one question I ask for people before I'll even take them on as a client is, tell me why now and why you. And if it's just because it sounds good, oh, it looks good, never do it, and not going to take you on as a client. Because when it is your soul fire, your soul destiny, as you call it, what it does is whatever you say today, and then whatever version of your evolution you are as a human being is tomorrow, will all make sense to your audience. So you don't have that, what the hell are they doing today kind of, whiplash that can occur. And therefore you are always confident, because you can say, I've been doing this my whole life, because it's true. And when it's rooted in something so divine that it's not on this side, it isn't your logic, it's the partnership that you're creating, that it isn't, you don't have to have the smarts about it, because you've always had the instinct about it. And what makes true confidence, I find.
Well, I would agree with you. And so there's kind of two sides to this being confident in your expertise thing. There's the side where you're just making it up and you're faking it till you make it. But then there's the other side that I've seen with a lot of my clients, Allie, where they actually are steeped in expertise, but there is some internal blockage to them actually stepping in and really owning it and claiming it for themselves. And as an example, I had a woman who I worked with several years ago who could sell like crazy for somebody else. She was selling 200, 300, $500,000 things when she was in corporate. But when it came time for her to have her own business, her own body of work, to serve in the world in the way that she was destined to serve, she was very, very reluctant to step in and own her expertise. And it was through our work together that she was able to finally do that. And within 6 weeks, she was on TV, she started her own radio station, and people started hiring her specific to this body of expertise that she finally was able to step into and own.
Well, and to me, that just screams social story. And like, that's the thing, is that we are so indoctrinated with social stories on levels. It's like the onion, the onion now, layers and layers and layers. And you get through some, but then there's always really more to uncover. And I love the speed that your example sets, because that's the one thing that people are like, well, I've been like this my whole life. I've thought this way my whole life. It's going to take X number of years to unwind or undo that negativity. And it doesn't. From a scientific standpoint, it literally takes 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, you can retransform one of your subconscious stories. So a memory, a habit you've always had, way you've always reacted, 10 minutes of you consciously working on it, and it can be no more as a detriment to you.
Yeah, well, in this particular case, it was a cultural conditioning. So she was an Asian woman, and in her culture, standing out was forbidden, essentially. Yeah. So we helped her to dismantle that. And literally, you're right, it was very swift. So the third thing that challenges people when they are stepping into the spotlight, they're getting ready to speak, or maybe they're already speaking and they've hit a plateau, is capacity to convert. And what convert means, for those of you who might be new to this, it means having somebody who's in your audience, whether they're a virtual audience or a live audience, become a client of yours, buy something from you, buy a product, a service, or step into becoming a client with you. And particularly women, Allie, have a hard time with this, but also people who are in there's, as I said, 5 different archetypes that I've mapped for speakers. People who are what I call the entertaining educator. The entertaining educator just wants to give and give and give and give and give. And they give so much that that the audience is left full and they don't feel like they want to buy anything. So if you have a struggle asking for money, if you have a struggle valuing yourself and what it is that you are offering, if you have a struggle with over-giving, over-delivering all the time and not receiving commensurate to what you're delivering, then this is a challenge for you. Capacity to convert is, you're meant to have this be an even exchange. You show up, deliver what you've got to deliver. The people who are meant to work with you, they show up and deliver you the 16-digit credit card.
Well, and come on, money, number one social story that is historically in just human generations, before when we had pictographs in the caves, pretty sure there was some about money in exchange, and and then we have the religious indoctrination of, oh, money's bad, the love of money's evil, all this stuff and we never want to be that. And especially for women, you are so right. I find women struggle with it a little bit more than men, just because they don't want to be bitchy or catty or selfish or unloving or any of these other adjectives that, if that's attached to a woman, oh, that's horrible. And that, and so that's where it's like, you have to choose to realize, is that really you? And is that your intention? And that's why I always am so into understanding my personal intention in the moment. And is one reason why I always tell people in the book, like, if you look at my schedule, it is, here's what to do, a colon, and here's the intention behind it. because I find that all of those social stories are less damaging and less attachment to you if you know your intention and your purpose in the moment. And if your intention is to give your best, and this is the scope of what it is, you don't tend to then over deliver, be pushed into over giving, over, giving the information away, not offering it, just saying, oh, I'll give it to you for free or something like that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people also get confused, particularly in the online space. They do see a lot of other people giving a lot, right?
Yes.
And so they get confused, and then they start to question their own value. They start to say, oh, I don't have enough to give. It's a bad storyline that causes a lot of really amazing people who have really powerful messages to go hide in the closet somewhere because they haven't figured out how to own their own value and how to acknowledge that there is a market for them, as long as they have the clarity and the confidence to put themselves out there and the ability to exercise the asking muscle. We have to exercise that on a regular basis.
The relationship. I mean, that all goes back to and people forget that in the end, all of this, personally, professionally, online, world speaking, real world, it's all about creating a relationship between you, the speaker, and every single one of your audience members, your event host, and all of that. And so what is your intention of your relationship? Your intention of your relationship is to just, as you and I have discussed in the past, the buffet of free, and you just want them to just wait around for you to create something new and just to do, then that's fine. That's also called a nonprofit. That's not called a business.
Well, and even nonprofits have to make money. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's really understanding that this is a relationship. And do you want a relationship where the only reason why they're there is because they're just waiting for you to give them the next thing of free? No one wants that one-sided relationship. That's not what we're here for. And that's really what we're creating with that idea of free. And so it's understanding what you want. And that's where success comes in. What is success for you? What is your message? What is your intention? What are the relationships you want? Forget what everyone else tells you you should want. What do you want? And then once you know that, then you can go work with experts like yourself to clarify the logistical aspects of how are you actually speaking and how are you getting your message out there and how are you really having that legacy piece for you.
Exactly. And, I think the last C that I'll put into our pot, we have clarity, we have confidence in your expertise, we have capacity to convert, is commitment, right?
Oh,
we have to have a commitment. Yes. And that, going back to talking about the buffet of free and giving everything away, not only are you training your people to expect the next free thing from you, but everything that you deliver to them, actually, it's literally like water dropping into the desert. They have not invested. So therefore they're not actually extracting the value. There's no commitment on their side. And there's really no commitment on your side to actually make a difference in the world and deliver your value. Because if you're truly delivering your value, you will receive commensurate from the audience.
Well, can I add one more C to yours, which is choice? People forget it is your choice to show up, and it's your audience's choice to show up. You can bring your best, and if they choose for themselves, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean there is something wrong on your side. They have the ability to choose as well, but you also can't make that choice for them. You can only make the choice for yourself on how you're showing up, where you're showing up, and are you actually bringing your A game every time?
Every time. You got to bring your A game every time. And remember that even if they do choose to work with you, here's one other thing for speakers to know. Sometimes people choose to work with you and then they don't show up. And it's not your job. It is not your job to go chasing after people who don't show up.
And it goes back to the relationship. Do you want that? It's like I always tell my clients, I am not your mama. Like, you're an adult, I'm an adult. We're going to have a fabulous adult relationship, all that kind of stuff. We're going to build a great, amazing brand, but it's your responsibility to do your work. And it's going to be my responsibility to do my work. But yeah, and that's no reflection on you. That's the big thing, is that in the end, all you can do is control how you're showing up. And when you do that, that shifts your energy. That makes the clarity happen. That makes the confidence happen. That makes the income happen. It's amazing, right? And it makes everything really fall into place, but it begins with you.
That's correct. Begins with you.
Well, thank you, Emerald. I so have enjoyed our time together. Tell everyone where they can get your book, where they can get the quiz and all that fun stuff.
Sure. So they can go to quiz.beheardbymillions.com. The book is available on Amazon at Be Heard by Millions and Live Your Destiny. And they can also find out more about me by listening to my podcast, the Wickedly Smart Women podcast, which is available on all the platforms. So yeah.
Love it. And then anyone can pick up a copy of Success Rebel, How to Be Successful and Sought After Without Selling Your Soul. Of course, all major retailers, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all that fun stuff. But if you want to support your local guide, all you got to do is call your local business store if they're not open and ask them for Success Rebel by Allie Craig. Came out April 7th of this year. And then that way they can just get a copy, send it to you, and you can support a local business all at the same time. Well, thank you so much, Emerald. And most importantly, thanks for sharing the wisdom about how people can really get out there and be fabulous, amazing speakers.
And thank you for being a success rebel, Allie, and for getting me out there when I was, at one point, I was down in the hole and you brought me out. So thank you so much for doing that.
Well, you're a fellow success rebel, my love. So, we got to stick together.
All right. It's all about the relationship.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.